Today we're making a small size tote bag. We're going to use ready-made pencil cases to add pockets and color block the bag. The pattern piece is just a simple rectangle, and I'm using cotton canvas for the bag's outer fabric. This lining is called 3D mesh. This material is what gives the bag a structure. It's lightweight and doesn't fray, and I use it all the time. Let's begin by cutting the lining piece in half. We're going to put the right sides together and position the lining piece a little bit lower than the bag's opening. Pin them together so that they don't shift. We do the same thing on the opposite end of the bag. Now we're going to create the cut-out handles. We're going to sew along the lines, and each time you reach a corner, you leave the sewing needles inside the fabric. Lift the sewing feet and swivel the fabric to sew the next line. Here we cut along the center to about 1 centimeter from the short ends of the handle. Then we cut a diagonal line to almost the corners. It should end about 2 millimeters away from the corners. Flip the lining through the handles and smooth out the lining. You want it to lay down as flat as possible. Here you can play with whether you want the lining to show and kind of create a border around the handles, or you can just completely fold them inwards to get a solid color handle. When you're happy with how it looks, pin them down and top stitch around the handles. I also make small diagonal stitches over the corners for reinforcements. Now we will add the pencil cases for a fun look. If you like pockets and you don't want to sew from scratch, this will be a very easy way to do so. So I think if I get tired of this look, I can just seam reap the pencil cases out and have a solid color bag. You should use the zipper feet in this step. If you can't get to the sides of the pencil case, you just pull the front part of the pencil case over and re-sew that part. I'm just going to tack down the bottom corners of the pencil case so that it doesn't flap around. So now we're going to sew the bottom of the lining together. So we match the sides and the bottom and sew across. Also snip off the corners to reduce bulk. So this is what it looks like now. So we're going to clean up the opening of the bag, and I'm cutting off the excess lining on top. Also snip off the corners to reduce bulk. It will make sewing easier. We will just double fold this part and pin them down. I'm marking where the box bottom will be and clipping them together. We will sew the sides down 1 centimeter from the edges. So this is what the bottom looks like now. Kind of like a paper bag. Then we will snip off the excess seam allowance to about 1/2 centimeter. And then we will zigzag stitch over them. Next, we flip the bag over and sew to cover the raw edges. So you won't be able to sew the raw edges on this area because it's buried underneath the fold. Let me show you. See? For this area, we will hand stitch it by using I think it's called the ladder stitch. I boxed the bottom this way because I want the sides to be straight to give it a boxy look. So thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing or check out my drink holders on Etsy. I'll continue on and watch more back tutorials.